Welcome to the Health Coach Nation podcast. My name is Hailey Rowe, and I'm a sales and marketing coach and LinkedIn lead generation service provider. I work with health, life, and mindset coaches and online service-based business owners to help them get more sales, shift their time to the client-generating activities instead of just the busy work, and overcome that social media overwhelm. Let's get into the show. If you've been looking to attract more of the right kind of clients who are ready to pay for coaching, and you feel stuck in your messaging, your marketing plan, where to begin as an entrepreneur, and even maybe having some mindset blocks, fear of sales or fear of overwhelm and failing and rejection, things like that, I want to invite you to my Coach Inner Circle because it's the A to Z hands-on experience that helps you get in front of your ideal clients, grow your audience and visibility, and it helps you learn sales and marketing skills for life that are timeless and not going to cause you to have to obsess about posting 24/7 and the social media algorithms and things like that. So if you're ready to book clients and you want to grow your coaching business beyond just getting your certification, go ahead and go to haileyrowe.com. You can book a free consult to see if the inner circle is right for you. And what you're about to hear is a little testimonial from one of my clients, Veda. So enjoy, and then we'll get into the episode.
I was in Hailey's Inner Circle group program and I could not recommend it enough. I remember when she first reached out to me, I was very hesitant to invest because I was literally like 3 months into my business. I had no financial build up from my business. I was just starting out, and the fact that I was thinking about going to invest in this program of working with a business coach really scared me, and I almost backed out because I didn't know if I could find the funds to resource it. However, I've always learned that the best businesses are the people who always have a mentor. So I decided to invest in Hailey, and it was the best decision that I've made so far into my business. She helped my business grow in so many ways. I went from barely having any clients, barely booking any discovery calls, to having 28, 30 clients in that 6-month span of working together. I developed a way better mindset around my business to prevent burnout and to nail those discovery calls. I've been able to hire a virtual assistant. I feel so much more confident in the work that I do. I nailed down on my niche. I nailed down on my content. And if it wasn't for her, I truly don't know where my business would be today. And looking back, I'm so thankful I made that investment because I've made all of the money back and all the investment back that I was scared to invest in the first place. So if you're thinking about working with Hailey, I could not recommend it enough. She is the perfect person for if you're just getting off the ground on your business or if you've been in your business for a while. She will help you and support you in any way possible. Even though it was a group program, I personally felt like it felt very one-on-one. Everything that you have to tell her, she takes to heart, she takes into consideration. She will meet you where you're at and will guide you every step of the way. So if you're watching this video, this is your sign that you need to invest in Hailey because I promise the benefits and what you will reap out of it will be so worth it.
And we got to talk a little bit on LinkedIn, and I said, I have to have this guy on the podcast, and here we are. So Sunil, why don't you share a little bit about what is intuitive branding and what got you into starting that company?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me on the show, Hailey. I really enjoyed our earlier conversation where we do sort of a podcast swap and learned about intuition in your life. So what intuitive branding essentially is using the power of intuition, which everybody has, a subconscious phenomenon that everyone's born with. And what it does is it allows you to make the right decisions at the right time in any business situation that you're in. The reason why it's really, really important is there's 4 types of intuition that I've looked at when I've taken a deep dive into the academic research. And the 4 types of intuition actually look at the past decisions that you've made, both good and bad, and how you can learn from them in the present moment, and then how you can make better future decisions so that you actually move your business decision ahead by looking at the past, what's in the present. And therefore, you put your business in a really good situation to move the brand forward. And so, for me, it comes down to branding. So, obviously, the people listening to this and perhaps watching are entrepreneurs, and so we have a brand, and a brand is basically an emotional attachment to what you're selling, either a product or service. And when you leverage your intuition to look at, and we've all done this, if we look at the brands that we buy, there's a feeling that we have attached to that. So if we go to McDonald's, or if we go to Whole Foods, or we buy something from Amazon, we have an emotional attachment to that brand, good or bad. And that's your intuition working. So if it's a good experience, you'll continue to buy from that brand. And if it's a bad experience, you simply won't. And so what intuitive branding does, it shows entrepreneurs how to leverage their 4 types of intuition to make sure that they make the decisions that puts their brand under the spotlight in a positive way. And when they do that, that's how they attract A talent, because the A top talent are going to look at a brand that they trust, and that's where they're going to put their skills. And once you attract the A talent, they provide the foundation for attracting loyal customers, because they have now really good systems in place. They have excellent customer service. And what do we want as customers? That's exactly what we want. And if we have a brand that does that time and time again, we're going to continue to buy from them. And that's what our intuition is telling us as customers. So intuition is always a two-way situation. It's trust building. So not only does the entrepreneur have to use his or her intuition to make those decisions, those entrepreneurs also have to make sure that the intuition of employees trust their brand, and the intuition of customers trust their brand. And it all comes down to the 4 types of intuition that each of us have. So when the 4 types of your intuition are saying that this is the right way to go, the 4 types of intuition of employees are saying, I want to work for these guys. And the 4 types of intuition of customers are going to say, I want to buy from these guys. And that's how you scale your brand like crazy.
Awesome. Awesome. So what are these 4 types of intuition, and how do you define intuition?
Absolutely. So intuition is, again, the subconscious area of your brain, and it works on the past, present, and future. So the first one is called experiential intuition, and that looks at your past, the past decisions that you've made, both good and bad. And we all have signals that are unique to us that tell us whether the decisions we made, or the past decisions we made, are the right ones or the wrong ones. So when we get into a situation, the research has shown that it takes your intuition, or your experiential intuition, just 33 milliseconds to sense if you're in the right situation, or you're meeting the right person, or you're not. So it's basically your fight or flight thing that happens. So if we've been in a situation before and it was a good one, then we have these things called positive intuitive signals that are kind of flowing in nature, that tell us that, yeah, this is a good situation. I've been here before. I'm going to move ahead possibly with the situation. If it's a bad situation, that's when your negative signals are, and those are kind of bothersome in nature. So you kind of get that gut feeling, the hairs on the back of your neck standing up, or what have you. And so if you have a bad situation, now you've got to sit back and say, okay, why is it bad? Or if it's a good situation, why is it good? That takes the next level of next 2 types of intuition, which looks at the present situation. So if you're looking at a business decision, you want to take a look at, one is called relational intuition, and that looks at the people involved in that business decision. Are these the people that we can trust? Are these employees that we can trust? Do they have the skills? Are they putting the work and the effort? And that's relational intuition. And then the other one is called situational intuition. And situational intuition puts your business in a situation to say, is this a situation that's actually going to move my business forward? Do I have the systems in place to move my business forward or not? So in each of those situations, if relational intuition looks at someone and knows that that person is just not trustworthy from a skills perspective, or perhaps they're too junior in a role, your relational intuition is going to send you a negative signal saying, you're going to have to find someone else. And the same thing with situational intuition. Situational intuition says, listen, if this situation is not right, I don't have the systems in place, then I have to put the systems in place before I can move my business forward. If I don't, then things are going to start to crumble, and I'm going to start, the holes start to come up in the business. And the last of the 4 is called creative intuition. And creative intuition looks at like now you've got everything down pat, you've got the people in place, you've got the systems in place. This is the risk level of taking a decision. So this is moving your decision forward to say, is this risky? Is this a risky decision from my perspective? So not Hailey, your perspective or somebody else's perspective, but this business is ready to go into this situation that's a little bit more risky, but it's the right risk for me.
I see.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry. Didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah, no, I was just going to give you an example of each one of these.
Yeah, I'd love that.
So let me give you one particular gentleman whose name is John Rothschild. John, so when I first started this intuitive branding process, he was one of the first ones I interviewed on intuition. Now, you have to understand, John came from the world of spreadsheets. He was an investment banker. So he didn't believe in intuition. He says, Sunil, look, every decision you make is based on data and experience. That's it. So he said, come on down. I'll give you an hour. I have no clue what we're going to talk about because I just don't believe in this intuition thing. And, we'll have a latte together. And so we'll spend 5 minutes talking about intuition and the rest, let's just catch up. So I drove down to see him thinking, this is going to be a great interview. Wow. So I was telling him how there are unique signals that each one of us has. And in fact, one entrepreneur told me that his left earlobe got hot when he made bad decisions. Another CEO who's run now 2 multi-million-dollar businesses sees this apparition on his right shoulder. He doesn't know what color, shape, but he knows that when he sees that, he makes the decision that's in front of him. He can't tell his board that because they'd probably fire him and ask him to see a psychiatrist. But that's how these signals work. And John still was not convinced. So we turned on the camera and John is making his best to try and say, I think this is intuition. I'm not sure. But in the 45 minutes that we started talking about his actual successes he's had, we touched upon his experiential intuition because what he really wanted to do was run a business. And his past experience as an investment banker, tons of experience. He's looked at hundreds of businesses. In terms of relational intuition, which is the second one, he's had an amazing team that's helped him rise up in his career, people he could trust. When it came to situational intuition, all the businesses that he ran before as an investment banker, the only way he was going to be successful is if he knew that they had the systems and processes in place to make them successful. Otherwise, they wouldn't invest in that business. So, excuse me, he was poised to be the right person at the right situation to run a business on his own. And when it came to creative intuition, which is the risk level, he was telling me of a situation, and now we're about 45 minutes in, and I'm asking him, did intuition ever have a role in a decision that you made? By this time, he's absolutely convinced about intuition because I've been educating him on the different types of intuition, and you can see he's getting it. And so the very last question was about intuition. He said, absolutely. And he said, Sunil, you can have all the data in the world, but you have to trust your intuition. And he said that I was about 20 years into my career as an investment banker, $3 to $4 million a year. And he wanted to quit. And he wanted to say, listen, I want to run a business on my own. This has always been a dream. But everybody's saying no. Everybody's calling me an idiot. Nobody has faith in me. And so his wife asks him, John, why do you want to do this? And he said, you know what? It just feels right. And that was his intuitive signal. So he quit his $3 to $4 million a year investment banking job to go run this tiny, almost bankrupt little restaurant. That bankrupt little restaurant ended up being a company called Eastside Mario's, and that was the first location. And over the next 20 years, he grew that to over $2 billion, over 1,000 locations under different brand names, all because it felt right. And that's how his creative intuition worked. So those are the 4 types in one story. So that's how intuition works, because they all work together to move your business to amazing heights.
Yeah. Wow. That's awesome. So how does, I think a lot of times one thing that I notice is new entrepreneurs don't have a lot of past experiences to pull from when making decisions. And so they feel very, very unsure of themselves. and almost unable to trust their intuition or feel like they need someone else to tell them what to do or that kind of thing. So how does somebody like gain more trust when they're very new, they don't have a lot of things to pull from on a specific, maybe they have general concepts to pull from, like they know when they make a sporadic decision, it doesn't work out well or whatever. But what could be something that helps them start to build that trust within themselves and make decisions without having a ton of past things to pull from?
Absolutely. So if it's in business, and we can also do this on the personal side, but what you've already, like, we all make 35,000 decisions every single day. Now, some of them are going to be transactional and things like that. But in each and every single one of these decisions, what you may not realize is that the intuition is already sending you a signal whether you should make that decision or not. It's up to you to know whether you recognize that signal or not. And that's why what we do in the intuitive branding process is that we strengthen all 4 types of your intuition, because when you're making decisions in business, you're always going to be stronger in one of the 4 types of intuition, which also means that you're going to be weaker in the other 3 types of intuition. And when you're weaker in the other 3 types of intuition, you're not as good at picking up those signals that are telling you, don't make that decision. And so if you can't sense those signals, you end up making an emotional decision that's really bad for the business. And that's when the business starts to stall, or holes start getting poked into your business and things start to go south. And where we look at it is, I can tell with an income statement or balance sheet right away where the holes are. So the best way to strengthen all 4 types of your intuition is to really look back at the past decisions you've made, and you take a business decision and you filter it through each one of the 4 decisions each of the 4 types of intuition. So let's say you want to do something on LinkedIn. Let's look at that one because you're the expert there. So if you've got, say, Hailey coaching you, so if you look at, I want to go on LinkedIn and increase my awareness. So the first thing that you would look at is, so what's your past experience? And so if you didn't have a lot of past experience, then you'd hire somebody like you, Hailey, who's the mentor, to do that, because now you've got the experience because you've helped tons of other people be successful on LinkedIn. So experiential intuition, check. The second one is relational intuition. So who are the people that you can have? So if you're a startup entrepreneur, you have to be able to trust yourself to know that you have some experience in the business, obviously, that you're trying to move forward. So customers are going to trust you if they're going to buy your product and service. You have to have that experience. So from a relational intuition, if you do have an employee or you have a business partner helping you, do you trust that employee? Do you trust that business partner to really kind of help you move your brand forward in LinkedIn, maybe contribute to some articles or what have you? In terms of situational intuition, what type of process are you going to put in place? So how frequently are you going to post? What are the types of things that you're going to post that's going to bring awareness? Are you providing value, or is it self-serving? And that's where your situational intuition comes in. And then the creative intuition looks at how, perhaps in terms of risk level, how fast you want to go. You want to do organic content? You want to do organic plus paid content based on your budget? And how out there do you want to be? Some people are, really conservative, and so this risk level has to be right for you. So that's how you take that particular decision. And when you filter it through each one of these 4 types of intuition, you're going to get a feeling of whether it feels right or not. So let's say if they hire a coach, say, Hailey, they've got some young coach that has no experience in LinkedIn but comes from Meta ads, and you want them as a LinkedIn coach. Your intuition is going to say, this person doesn't have any experience. Why are you hiring that person? And if you're weak in experiential intuition, that negative signal, that distress signal, even though it's there, you're not picking up on it. And now you're wasting $1,000 a month, $2,000 a month on someone that you shouldn't have hired in the first place. But your intuition was always there. And so when you take a number of these past decisions and you get used to these signals, each of these signals are very unique to you. And so once you know what your basket of signals are, and you've strengthened your decision because you've looked at tons of bad decisions and tons of good decisions, you'll have a really good sense of how your intuition works. And when you get to that point, what you'll notice is every decision you make, there'll be a basket of signals coming, both good and bad. So if it's a basket of good signals, you move ahead. If it's a couple of bad signals, you want to take a step back to say, okay, which one of the 4 types is warning me and why? And can I fix it? If I can fix it, fantastic, because that bad signal turns into a good signal and I move ahead. But if that bad signal gets louder, I got to move away because that's a bad decision. Mm-hmm. So that's how you strengthen all 4 types.
Gotcha. Okay. And if someone's like not very self-aware, I don't know which one I'm bad at when it comes to these 4 types, what would you suggest for them to find out or get more clarity on or self-awareness?
Yeah, so one of the easiest ways is to so I run a quiz where it takes a look at which one of the ones that you're the worst in, and I can provide you the link to that quiz as well. And so once you know what that one is, now you're really, really well prepared to know, okay, so I'm very, very weak in relational intuition, for example. That means I can't read people. And so if I can't read people, then you start to you have a tendency to hire people or get in association with people who aren't the right ones for you. And your intuition is telling you, like, you got to walk away from this person. But you continue to engage or you continue to hire those types. And they show up in your income statement because you're hiring the wrong person. Their productivity sucks. And they're there for a job. You're just a job to them. There's no skin in the game for them. And that has your business go sideways. So that's one. And then the other way is to, once you start looking through the bad decisions you've had in the past and you filter each one for the 4 types of intuition, what you'll start to notice is there's a pattern. Every time I filter a business decision through my relational intuition, I keep getting this negative signal or this irritation for the last 10 business decisions I've used as an example. And so if that's the case, there's a pattern there. And so that's another way of mapping the pattern to say, okay, this looks like I really need to, get my relational intuition much stronger. Now let's take a look at some of the good decisions and why did I hire them and what could I have done to not hire that person? Or what was that signal? And it's coming back to what's that signal that came in, because once you recognize those signals, then the next time you try and hire someone or the next time you try and meet someone who's not right for you, your relational intuition will send you that negative signal and you're able to sense it. That's when you walk away. So that's how you continue to strengthen it.
Wow, cool. Okay. And I think one of the things that a lot of people believe is that to make a decision of some kind, a lot of times they think, I just need more time. I need more time to think it over. And it sounds like with your experience and with these 4 types of intuition, it's not necessarily you need more time. It must be a little bit more so you need to go through your process with the intuition and see if you're reading it right and that kind of thing. Would you agree with that, or what are your thoughts on that?
100%. And so what happens is, because this is a new process for everybody, they're going to need time to recognize what their signals are. But once you get really, really good at it, remember your intuition starts in 33 milliseconds. And the research says that within 10 to 14 seconds, your intuition has you making the right decision. So, if it's a little bit more of a complex decision, where you need more time to figure out why you're getting a negative signal, that's a different issue. But once you get really, really good at learning what the signals are and you've strengthened all 4 types of your intuition, 10 to 14 seconds is all you need. And that just takes practice. And that's what we help you with in the intuitive branding process. So we get you to that point where a decision just comes and you're almost ready to know where to go and what decision you need to make. And so we also take a look at, okay, well, why are you saying that you need a lot of time? Is it too risky? Is it because you've been hurt before? by hiring someone? Is it because you don't have the systems in place that things are starting to crumble? So we also look at what's happening in the business and we tie it back to intuition, because your intuition would have told you that these things are happening. So one of the first things we do is, once you've strengthened all four types of your intuition, the next step is to look internally in your business to fix the bad mistakes. And fixing the bad mistakes, again, you start to learn, what did I do and how did I get there? And so by the time you're done, that's just step one of the 5 steps in the intuitive branding process. You put an average of about 40. So on average right now is $48,000 in your bank account in 30 days for the over 200 people that have gone through the intuitive branding process. $48,000 in your bank account, because that was attributed to a bad decision you made. So going through the intuitive branding process is going to stop these money leaks immediately. And so that everything that when you move forward, your expenses are trimmer, your revenues are higher, and your profits are much, much better. And your brand is accelerating as well. So that just continues to keep going and going and going. And then that's when you can expand your products and services, because you have the intuition of your employees saying, I love this brand. You have the intuition of your customer saying, I love this brand. And you've optimized your business so they know that this is a business that's really stable. And that's what intuitive branding does.
Love that. Awesome. I'm curious, since you're building intuitive branding as well, what has been a marketing choice or decision that you've made that's served you really well with growing intuitive branding?
So the big thing that's worked really, really well for us has been the customer success stories that we've had, because I can talk about this until I'm blue in the face, but until you have actual customers, talking about the transformation they've had and where they were versus where they've gone, that social proof is really, really golden. So we've had, I've had a CEO who hired someone that ended up cooking the books, and a 59-year-old company that he was running was gone in 3 weeks, just gone from 1.9 million to minus 500,000 in 3 weeks, gone. So he joined intuitive branding. He was weakest in relational intuition. Once he strengthened that, he actually got into real estate, because he strengthened relational intuition. Real estate's all about relationships, and he's incredibly successful once he strengthened that. I have another person who was making $1.2 million a year every single year, and only taking home $100,000 when he went through the intuitive branding process. Once he looked under the hood, which I was mentioning earlier, 4 of the 6 business areas that he had were losing money. He made a lot of emotional decisions. We fixed those for him. He instantly gained $200,000. His revenues went up by $600,000 a year. He tripled his profits year in and year again. And another person who came in just by fixing his intuition and doing nothing but looking at the workflows in his company, he made $100,000 by not changing anything. He optimized his workflows. So these are the type of testimonials that I have that come out of the intuitive branding process. And that, from a marketing perspective, has been golden, because now people have been through it and they've got hard numbers. So one of the problems is sometimes we look at this thing called intuition, as John Rothschild was, and it's very, subconscious, and some people think it's woo-woo. But from a business perspective, this has some real hard consequences in terms of revenues, profits, and expenses. And so I'm here to optimize all of that through the intuitive branding process for those who go through it.
Amazing. Awesome. So where can people connect with you if they do want to learn more about intuitive branding and the process?
So I've got my website, intuitive-branding.com. I'm on all the socials, LinkedIn, Facebook, TikTok. Not doing any dancing there, but there's case studies there. There's going to be a lot of teaching videos coming out where I'm actually teaching about what happens when you, ignore this type of intuition or you strengthen this, and that tied back to the business. Facebook, Instagram, wherever you want, and reach out to DM me, email me, whatever you can, and we'll see if we can work together to get your brand really out there, to make it as strong as possible and grow it so that you can put a lot of money in your bank account.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for being here, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks so much for listening to this podcast. And if it's really helpful for you, I'd really appreciate if you share it and or leave a written podcast review. This tells the podcast sites that our show is useful and it will be promoted to more people that way. Thanks again.